Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies, a podcast about people sharing extraordinary stories about how music has impacted their lives.
Welcome, everyone, to Music Junkies. I'm your host, Annette Smith, and today our guest is a host of two incredible podcasts. The first one is a relationship podcast that he does with his wife. That's awesome. I love that you do that. It's called Love is Black. Because of the success of that podcast, you've now created another podcast, Men Are the Prize, which I love your little logo in the corner. Yes, that's awesome. Yay! Right? When he isn't helping men have better lives, he's listening to the music, which I agree with you, the decade of the 80s, which is the best decade for music, movies, TV shows, and I'm all in 100%, Harvey. So welcome to the show. I love it.
Thank you for having me. I don't need an excuse to talk about music or the best decade for everything, which is the 80s. Let's go in. I'm ready to talk about it. People are sick of me talking about the 80s and such, so I'm going to have a good time talking about it.
I love it. So what was your experience putting your playlist together for me today?
I'm a music head in my core. I'm an 80s kid to my heart. So when we're talking about music, immediately I'm Pour Some Sugar on Me. I'm Bobby Brown. I'm New Edition. I'm all this stuff. I had I started off and I was a big hair guy, a hair rock kid. So it's Def Leppard and Bon Jovi and all this. I grew up in Long Island. So, in New York, they just hand you Billy Joel. That's what you just listen to. That's the way it is. And music has just kind of been a thread through my life for everything that I've dealt with in life and in general. And when life is killing me, it's just, darkness, headset, play some music, and I can kind of zone out. So it was interesting putting this list together. I'm kind of thinking about situations. I'm not good with dates with stuff, but music kind of brings me back to something that might have happened here or what I was watching when I was 12 or 13, what I was sneaking to watch at night when everybody was asleep and such. And just all the arguments or debates that I've had with people about how the 80s is just the best decade for everything. So it was cool to kind of go down that lane and talk about my favorite decade. So I was glad to actually put this list together. So it was fun.
I love it. That's my favorite part. I love people's experiences, putting their playlist together, and then their experience when they go through and do that. I had this lady on my show when I first started, and she had no idea what to pick. She was a friend of mine in her 60s. And I'm like, I think you would be a riot on the show. Let's go and do the show. So when I asked her that question, she said that she had like 900 LPs just kind of like spread on her living room floor. And she just sat there with her daughter and like talked for hours. And I love that. I'm like, that is so nice. She's like, so I love the process of putting the playlist together, which I think is so good. And to me, I find it so interesting that people can go and do that, where I think I would just struggle. I've tried. I literally have like 6 songs on my playlist because my husband's like, hey, I'll do yours. It'll be awesome. And I'm just still struggling with it. But yet I have this podcast like that. So it's crazy. And I love that you love the 80s because so do I. How many 80s parties have you had?
Not a few, not that many, because I'm a dad of 4, so I'm in dad mode most of the time. So they don't appreciate the 80s like I do. What they hate though is, and I'm such a stickler for music, that all these songs that they love. If you have young kids, it's stuff like Trolls and all these songs that are in these movies, and they love these songs. And I'm really just that guy to say, you realize that's Prince, right? That's not that troll that's singing that song in the movie. That song came out in 84. That's, I'm the guy to tell you, listen, do you understand that sample? No, that's not the first time that song. They're just copying it. That was whoever. That was Miles Davis, and that was whatever. And I'm that annoying friend who will be like, that's a good song. You know why it's good, bro? It's because of the sample from 87. I'm the annoying friend. So not a lot of people are coming to my 80s parties anyway.
I love it. We're going to get started with your first song. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, let's play a little bit of it. So moonlighting. I feel like this is your jam for sure.
Oh, okay. First of all, if you haven't heard, I love the 80s. My favorite TV show of all time is Moonlight. I think it's the best thing ever done. This show is campy. It's fun. I love Bruce Willis. I love it. I will battle anybody on any shows being better. So since it's my favorite show, the theme song is going to be a song that resonates with me. I love Al Jarreau. I love that smooth jazz kind of singing. And so I love the song. I love the fact that half the time I have no clue what Al Jarreau is even saying. It just fits. It's just like, I'm like, great, it works, whatever it is. And so I used to watch that show happily. And obviously it's the emergence of Bruce Willis before he, did anything, before he did Die Hard and all this stuff. He starts here. And I just loved the connection that those two had, because while they were doing the show, Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd didn't even really like each other. But for some reason on the show, they had a ball. And for some reason, that show really clicked with me. And I would watch it at night and I enjoyed it and I loved the theme. And I've also of the impression that the 80s had the best sitcoms, best dramas, and the best theme songs. We could do a whole episode on my favorite theme songs. But for me, that's because it's connected to the best show ever made, in my humble opinion. So that's why I love that song.
I love it. So I was just thinking when you were talking about Bruce Willis, and like, who do you think has put more movies out, Bruce Willis or Samuel Jackson? Because I feel like they're pretty close.
But Samuel has done a lot.
I know.
He's done a lot of stuff, and you don't realize how much he's been in. And he little bits. He's done everything. I think he's got the highest gross for any actor of all time in terms of movies. It just helps that he does a lot of the Marvel stuff, but he's been in so many things. But Bruce did a lot of stuff, but then he kind of slowed down, and obviously. And
now I feel like he's back again, doing all these kind of small parts, and so it's just kind of interesting, all these kind of 80s actors coming back.
Yeah, and what's sad we know, I don't know if you were, with his health, like all this stuff he had filmed beforehand. Now all this stuff is coming out because I don't know if we know how much longer we're going to have him. So it's kind of nice to see him acting, but knowing in the background that this is kind of like this tour, eventually we're going to lose him and such. And Moonlighting just finally available to watch. I think it's on Hulu. For the longest time, there were some issues with the company, with the music that was in the show, but now you can watch it. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that his health is of issue. So, I watched that first episode. I watched it because it started off as like this TV movie that they made, and then it became a series. So, I'm sad.
What fashion do you wish came back that's gone from the 80s?
Oh my God. The bright colors of Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Don Johnson and Philip the vest.
Did you wear the suit and the vest?
It made no sense. It was terrible. Why are you walking around like that? I understand it's Miami, but still, I'm wearing this a peach shirt with this white vest, and I got to pull up the sleeves. And then you got Phil Collins in the background, another person I love. The soundtrack's always so much fun. They're about to drive to some big event, and it's just, it's all filled in the air. It's all serious, hair blowing in the air, and God.
And shoulder pads. I don't really know why guys had shoulder pads. That was kind of strange, but
I don't get that either. I don't know. Maybe I was just young, so I wasn't paying that much attention to the shoulder
maybe like
pad.
the square look or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. What was it? You know what that reminds me? That TV show, I forgot where it's. What's his name? Oh my God. There was this weird electronic show, Max Headroom, I think it was. Do you remember Max Headroom?
Yeah.
And it was weird. And he had like this kind of square kind of look to him. I don't know. I guess we weren't sure what it meant to look like a man in the 80s. So we just came up, we just threw everything out there and we see what's stuck on the walls. So
let's just throw it together. I love it. All right, your next song.
Let's do it.
Pat Benatar.
My favorite 80s movie, The Legend of Billie Jean. So that's how I got into Pat Benatar. I've of the opinion that the 80s doesn't have a lot of great movies, but you have great 80s movies. To me, the 80s is its own separate genre. So you've got some movies that are just trash, but they're perfect 80s movies. Legend of Billie Jean is one of them. Like Better Off Dead is one of them. We got Ghostbusters and all this Say Anything, that whole run of the teen angst movies and such.
Yeah.
But I love that song because it reminds me of Legend of Billie Jean. I think it's fair. It's fair. It's all the stuff that I love about it. So anytime I hear Pat Benatar, it's a lot of this just brings me back to a time where, I didn't have to care about anything. I was a, preteen, then a teen, and I'm just enjoying movies, and I'm watching a movie, and the movie didn't even really make sense. There wasn't that great plot, but damn, that soundtrack was fire. And I could listen to that over and over again. But Pat Benatar, mini crush for me, early 80s, and it helped.
Oh, did you have a Pat Benatar poster on the wall?
Oh, no, that wasn't going to work out in my house. It wasn't.
No, strict?
No, it was strict enough that I wouldn't do that. It wouldn't have worked out. Once I got older, then it became like I think the mistake they made, I'm a sports head. So for Christmas, I got the subscription. Do you remember those 80s commercials where if you subscribe to Sports Illustrated, you got a gift? You get the football phone and stuff like that. So I got Sports Illustrated for a year. And always the swimsuit edition, so that was, I think my parents didn't realize that was coming to the house. So I got that, snip, 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 that was on the wall. So, and that was a little extra. And I was like 14, 15 or whatever. So it was okay. But no, Pat Benatar didn't make it onto my wall. No. But no, that was yes, it was her, and then eventually Lisa Bonet from the Cosby Show. I loved her.
Yes,
and Felicia Rashad. Oh my God, problems, absolute problems.
What about Alyssa Milano?
Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss? Another great I loved her. Loved the theme song to that show. She's such a cutie too. Oh yes, I loved her.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I was at an 80s rock party for Halloween, and I was just curious, like who's like all of us were around the same age. So I'm like, who is your 80s girl crush? And it was amazing how many people like Alyssa Milano. Like I do too. I thought she was amazing, and I think she's beautiful. She just has this look to her, and so it was amazing. Probably 10 people I asked, and like 8 said that.
Oh yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot, man. I mean, I watched the Wonder Years growing up. And, Winnie Cooper, that was another great one. Oh, the 80s. We had a lot of fun because there was a lot of those teen shows. So we watched a lot of these boys and girls growing up. And it's just that trope that they take guys, friends, a girl in the middle. And then that's a whole show that you run with.
Yeah.
So I remember Winnie Cooper, but of course, Who's the Boss? Because I'm a New Yorker. That fit. New York, he drives to Connecticut, and that's the whole show. So, I'm telling you, I'm a problem. I have way too much information in this head.
No, I love it. I love it. And it's crazy because I heard this little TikTok the other day, and I'm wondering if you think this is true. So they were saying that there's no possible real way with where our world is today that we can go and create these funny movies like from the 80s or controversial movies that we're kind of seeing, or even like they mentioned like Superbad or something like that, because our world is kind of crazy right now.
Oh yeah, we couldn't. There's a lot of.
What do you think about going and creating an 80s movie nowadays?
We could do it, but it wouldn't be as fun because you wouldn't get away with as much. You could make a joke about just about anything, to a degree, even like stuff like Superbad. That's somebody would be offended.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And that's sad. I don't feel like the 80s was that bad, but there are some bad ones because it was just nudity any chance you could get.
Yeah.
Like I
remember
remember
it was a good show when a boob was like in the first 3 minutes. You're like,
yes.
Gotta probably watch the rest of it.
Oh, I know. I was watching it. I remember Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds and all these. Yes, there was a boob somewhere in there, and I had to watch it and pause that and maybe rewind and it's for plot. It's an important moment here. I have to see what's going on.
But it's crazy how much, and then obviously you didn't have to be like an amazing writer to write an 80s movie.
No.
Like when you kind of go back and watch now, it's like, weren't they just fighting? How are they at the dance club? I'm confused. Like, where did the 3 hours go that they were like, you sometimes get confused and then like, oh, it's an 80s show. Okay. That's all you have to say to yourself. It's an 80s show. Makes sense.
And it fits. It's really its own genre. We weren't really hung up on plot. We just tried to enjoy ourselves and have fun. They fought. there's an interlude, some song played, and then they're at the club, okay, and we keep it moving. I'm in total agreement.
I think they were more keen on the soundtrack than they were on the actual action adventure storyline.
Agreed. There's so many one-hit wonders that are really just songs from soundtracks, and you attach it to a movie, and then you remember that scene because the song was great in the background. I'm definitely one of those guys.
Yeah,
definitely.
I love it. All right, next song. Midnight Train to Georgia.
Gladys Knight and the Pips. I grew up working in that typical mall, and Suncoast Motion Picture. It was one of those stores that sold videos and then eventually DVDs when they came out. And I made some really good friends working there. And then eventually I left there. And obviously my love for movies grew in that. I mention that only because I eventually moved and left there, but took my love of movies and started working at a Barnes and Noble in like the music department. So that's where the movies and the stuff were. And I made even more friends there. And every year this friend would have a Halloween party and everybody would get dressed and such. I'm not a Halloween person, so I didn't really get dressed. But I think I was the only Black guy in the group. So we would just play music, of course, but every time that song would get played, this girl who was my friend loved the song. So she would sing it. But it would be me and one other person in the background. We would be the Pips. She would be Gladys, and then we would perform the whole damn song. So it's her singing, and then we do woo woo. We would do all of it, and that song reminds me of some friends that I had at this Barnes and Noble, and that song was always so much fun. And every year, even to the point when I stopped working there, but I'd still find a way to make it to the party. We would perform the song, and it's a remembrance of friendships that I was a part of growing up. So that's probably the most sentimental song probably of this list. But I'm also a 60s, 70s, 80s R&B guy also. Gladys Knight is legendary for that song and the time and the stuff that she wrote. I love that song. And anytime I hear it, I'm just, like, oh my God, I remember my friends, but I remember the song. Every song should mean something to you. And this song definitely means something to me and the moments that I was a part of because of it.
Did you watch a lot of MTV growing up?
Of course. I mean, I loved my transition of what I loved, how I changed from rock to eventually R&B and kind of hip hop and all that. So I watched MTV when it started and how they really didn't want to play Black artists. They fought it.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, they didn't want to play it because, the excuse that they gave, the PR excuse that they gave is that they were a rock channel. So they didn't feel like it made sense to play Michael Jackson or Prince. But they didn't really take off until Michael Jackson. If you think about that.
Yeah.
Thriller, when you think of music videos, if you're our age, and I'm sure I'm older than you, but the greatest videos are Thriller, are Billie Jean. That stuff that comes, MTV was nothing until you started playing those videos. Yeah. How do you not play arguably the greatest artist ever? And they fought it, and you have to play it. He played it, and it was a whole big thing. So, I loved MTV. And when I started to see more artists that looked like me, of course, I liked it more. And Michael was one of my favorite artists, and obviously Prince and such. So yeah, a whole lot of MTV.
I'm reading the Madonna book right now, and this writer, I didn't quite know if I was going to like it because I didn't really know if she was going to really be a part of it. But this writer did a phenomenal job because she'll introduce somebody to the book, and then she'll kind of talk about what was kind of going on in that kind of realm or world. And so she said when Madonna came to New York, that was the time of Son of Sam, right? So crazy stuff like that. But they did mention MTV, and they were talking about, so when Madonna was going to do her first video, they were talking about Michael Jackson and Thriller and Prince already out there, and just kind of, she utilized them. So the book is saying literally those three people changed the way pop music did music.
Oh, definitely. Oh, Madonna is very much just paved the way for female artists to just blow up. She's the female of the 80s. I don't think there's a question about that. Like a Virgin and all the stuff and Vogue and all these things that came out. She's the one. And definitely the fact that Michael and Prince, a lot of these artists were able to put stuff out, she fit right in. She was a pop star.
Yeah.
Somebody that needed to be seen in videos. And the videos were great. And she's amazingly talented. So she fit. Yeah, it makes complete sense. I didn't really connect the Son of Sam thing. That's true.
I know.
Oh,
That's so
that's really
crazy.
interesting. Yeah.
And then they're also saying that, so like Michael Jackson can go on tour and do all these crazy things. Prince could have like a bath on stage and wear, you know, G-string underwear. But the controversy of her, like doing like a virgin on like laying on a bed or grinding up against the boombox, as they put it, and stuff like that was like, you know, she just got like ridiculed from the press. Like, how
definitely.
crazy though. I didn't really realize how, you know, how we have these male artists that are doing all this stuff, and then these female artists are kind of following in their limelight. Like her whole set was, you know, pretty much designed by Prince. She, you know, she loved Prince. They hung out a lot, and she's like, I need the same stage designer that you have, because look at this. I want to go do this. I want mine to be theatrical and like this big production. So it's so interesting back then when I never really realized it. Obviously, I'm older now, so I didn't really see it and feel it back then. But it is crazy how much she did pave the way.
Oh, very much so. It's just something that because when you're in it, you don't really realize how important it is, right? You're just kind of seeing it. It's just happening. But later on, after 20 years or so, you can look back and say, like, who was like the pop star before Madonna? I'm thinking, when I think the 80s and I think of women, I think of like Heart, the band.
Yeah.
I don't know if a singular, and even Pat Benatar, but they're more rock stars.
Yeah.
But when you think of a pop star, then eventually you get Janet and you get all these great women. And it took, in a lot of ways, there's the benefit of somebody else paving the way first. So maybe for Madonna, it's these Black artists. What's interesting with Madonna is, for the longest time, she was played on Black radio. We didn't know she was white. Yeah, I grew up in the 80s listening to 98.7 Kiss FM, and they would play her, and people were like, when you saw this white girl singing with this kind of soul, like, who in the entire fuck is that? She's the one singing that song? Borderline. We swore she was Black for the longest time. And she was playing, and you're like, okay, I love her. Now her video has to come out. Now she fits in that same genre with Michael and Prince. Like, they'll play Thriller, then they'll play Purple Rain, and then they'll play Borderline. And it fits and it makes sense. So they're all together. That 80s. She's very representative of that decade.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's exactly what they were saying in the book, that they all just thought that she was Black.
Oh,
because of her voice.
Soulful. So I love Borderline. Oh my God. I also love Who's That Girl? That's one of my favorite movies. It's terrible, but it's such a great 80s movie. Great soundtrack. Oh my God. Oh, it's a problem.
We should do an 80s soundtrack one. That would be fun.
Easily. I can tell you, I sent you this list, and then I was just looking back over it just to be kind of ready for it. If I had to do this again, an entirely different list. It wouldn't have any of these songs. 80s, 10 different tracks, and it would be amazing. I could do an 80s soundtrack without a problem. Oh, it's neat.
I love it. All right. I love this, guys. Billy Joel,
like I said, grew up in Long Island. You going down the Long Island Expressway. Here you go. Here's your Billy Joel greatest hits. Take that and head home. And it was I first heard it on an episode of Moonlighting from my favorite show. It's on an episode, that kind of old schooly, everybody's in the suits dancing around. I love that song. And from there, I just fell into Billy Joel. I'm like, God damn, this guy's amazing. I think I listened to that, and then I bought the greatest hits. If you remember the 80s, do you remember being able to get like 12 CDs or 12 cassettes for 1 cent? That's how I got my greatest hits.
That's right.
And I'm like, oh, wow. Piano Man. Wow. Vienna. Wow. Just the way you are. Wow. Who is this guy? And I had my Billy Joel's, for a while. It was strictly him. And that's all I was listening to. But it connects with my favorite show. So it's a great song, and not song that a lot of people talk about when they talk about Billy. I mean, he's got such a great catalog that you think about Piano Man and Moving Out And he's done so many. What's the movie I'm thinking of? Bosom Buddies. My Life. That's him too. He's done so much. But I really love that because I think I like that big band because I'm a jazz fan also. So it fits into that and just gives me an excuse to watch Moonlighting again. So
I feel like if Columbia House Records was like, hey, we're just going to call in all of you guys that owe us a cent and the interest, like they could come back strong. They could come back pretty strong.
I had 8 or 9 different names. I would come up with something else. And in 3 weeks, all these cassettes came. I'd be broke if that happened.
Yeah, because I feel like once you did that, then the CDs were actually quite expensive.
Oh, yeah. He's like, how did they make money on that? I don't understand. No. I never got it, but I wonder if Columbia Records is owned by somebody else. I never really, if they were owned by the record label, it doesn't cost them anything. Yeah. So I have to hope that's what it is. Otherwise, I don't care. My CD collection is solid. So thank you to Columbia. But yeah, easily, Billie, which one of my favorite artists in my decade, in my favorite show, is just easy to listen to happily. I'll be listening to that afterwards. That interest just bang, it just hits you. And I love really good music. So it works for me.
So elementary school, did you carry a boombox and walk around the school?
Well, you know what? You know how stereotypical that would have been? Me just walking around. No, I couldn't.
We did all the time.
No, I didn't have one of those. I just waited till I got home. Then I listened to music. No, I didn't.
We literally walked around. There was 2 like top girls, me and another girl or whoever it was. And we would carry our boombox and like people would just follow us as we walked around at recess, walked around at lunch. I went through so many double D batteries. Like,
oh God. That's right. Duracell.
We always had music.
I had music all the time. I was still in my early rock phase there, but it's for me when I see the boombox. To me, I start seeing beatbox and start seeing the breakdancing and hip hop power move over there. So I wasn't there yet. If I was, I probably would have had when I would have to fight to get the parents to buy me. I would have.
Did you learn how to breakdance at all?
Oh no.
I couldn't even do the worm.
Oh no, I know. Listen, I'm a man who knows his limitations. I'm not a dancer. So I'm not that guy.
No dancing at all.
I can dance. I can carry it. I can hold the note, carry a tune, but I'm not doing it publicly. I dance for amateurs. That's as far as I go. I'm not doing that for real.
Oh, I love it. All right, next song.
Heart is a house for love, and I've learned that it don't take much to build.
The heart is a home for love.
The 5 Heartbeats. That's the movie. I am a movie head also. And I love movies, like The Godfather is my favorite movie, but there's different genres that fit different things. And growing up, I always look to be represented, whether it's music or movies or TV shows and such. So The 5 Heartbeats is a classic Black film. That's for us. And not everybody loves it, but we do. And the soundtrack is amazing. Robert Townsend, one of my favorite directors. It's just Black, for me. I think Black people, when we comes to music and movies, we love music. We love a story. We love Kung Fu. We love all that stuff. This movie has family music. We love the Commodores, the Four Tops. So essentially that kind of story they're talking about. So this is part of a fantastic soundtrack of a great Black movie. And it's amazing. It's just something you have to see. You have to appreciate it, to see. And it's something that you can watch anytime. It's that movie. I can catch halfway in, I'm finishing. God forbid I catch the opening credits. Just get out of here. I'll see you in 2 hours. And I'm watching it and I'm loving it. We love harmonies. We love a great story and we love seeing them break down, and we like to see them get back together. It's just connected to one of my favorite movies, which is The 5 Heartbeats. So that's what I love about it.
I love it. What is, like, if we look in today's age, you have 4 kids. You said you had 4 kids?
Yep.
So I have 2. They've grown up. They've moved out. One's married, 26 and 28. But I look at where kids are today and they just kind of seem, I don't want to say lazy. It's just they have everything just kind of at their cell phone, I guess you could say.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What is one thing that you feel like your kids are going to miss out on that we got to partake when we were growing up?
That's such a good, because I'm a TV head. I don't know if there was any particular shows you loved growing up, but I'll give the perfect example is in the 80s, The Cosby Show needed to be watched. Thursday night, you needed to be home at 8. I don't care what you were doing. Food shopping, it's 7:45. It's time to go because you needed to see that episode. We don't really have that anymore because now people just wait and they binge it on Netflix.
Yeah.
That anticipation for a new episode of a great show, you don't really get that. My kids, oh, I want to watch this show. I'm just going to wait. And then they'll sit there and watch 3 seasons of a show versus me waiting for the following Tuesday for Moonlighting to come on or Thursday night to wait for everybody to fall asleep so that I could watch LA Law because I loved LA Law. You don't get the benefit of that anticipation. I'll just wait. And then I'll watch 14 episodes of a show. It's not the same. It's not the same. Everything's kind of handed to us. I feel like, you know what? I have to wait. I'm annoyed. What happened? What's going to happen next week?
And I feel like it forced families to watch TV together. Now we have like 15 different TVs in the house, which is crazy. And we're kind of separate. Like I look at when our kids were growing up, we'd have a TV in the basement, living room. They had TVs in their room. So I don't even know what the hell they were even watching.
Right.
Like, really, I don't know what they were watching. Now I think back, I'm like, I have no idea what you guys were watching. Like, who knows what you had access to Netflix. You had access to all these different, the internet, all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
And I never really even thought about it, but you're right. But even that, like, I remember my mom would be like, oh, this movie's on. Like, remember Super Channel? Right. And you're like, I don't like this one. I'm going to do the next channel, and you would get that movie, but then we would like make popcorn and I would lay with my dad and my mom would have the other couch, right? And she'd eat cheesies and smoke cigarettes. And it was just like, whatever, that's what we did.
TV used to be more of an event. And now it's because it's so accessible. And there's so many different ways and so many things to watch. It's kind of changed. It's good and it's bad. If you're just a person and you just want to watch something, it's good. But as a family, that's kind of gone. It's a lot of this. Everybody's in their own room and their own device, and so it's a fight to get us to watch a family movie together when it's something that was just something you did. Like it's like Remember drive-ins? Did you ever go to the family, go to a drive-in movie?
I loved it.
I'd love that. I wish I had one. I would take the kids and we would go watch. We could go sit there and watch Hocus Pocus or something. Or just sit and watch The Goonies or something. Good family stuff, but now we don't have that. My kids I'm still trying to get them in some great 80s stuff, but it's a battle.
You're like, I don't understand. Why are they not like, what's happening?
What is going on? Let's watch Beetlejuice. Like I forced them to watch Beetlejuice. And like, yeah, it's okay or whatever. Or I'm a horror person and I have 2 older daughters. And I'm like, if you like horror, the greatest one is my favorite horror is The Exorcist. And I watch Exorcist and they were bored. I'm like, get out of my house. What's wrong with you? You mean you're bored? This is great. It scared the crap out of me. Yeah. Oh my God. I watched this by myself. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh my God. These kids don't appreciate it. They don't. I'm the old man yelling from the That's just me.
I also miss being like getting up or it was a weekend and you would phone your friend and they wouldn't answer and you're like, meh, I'm just going to walk 3,000 miles to their house.
Exactly.
Right? And then it's crazy. I don't know how it would work, but the universe would bring that person and you would just meet up. And what were you doing? I was walking to your house. I was walking to your house. Or if they weren't there, you went to like the place that you would eventually all see each other. I miss that too. I don't think our kids got to experience that.
Socializing has changed so much.
I know.
Everybody's got a phone and that's how everybody connects. But everybody's in their house. Nobody goes out. I used to leave the house, get on my bike and I'd run around and play with kids. And that's where we would hang out for the day. And there's so many different factors because I could just leave my house and play. And my mom and dad knew I was coming home. I can't in good conscience let my 8-year-old just go out there and ride. I don't know what's out there, unfortunately. So a lot of things have kind of changed. We don't have, the idea of safety is really something that's not the same. You know, sending the kids out, go play, I'll see you later on tonight or something. Not a chance. So sadly, that's something we've kind of lost. But
Yeah.
I don't know, they socialize through video games, through their phones, stuff like that. But I don't think it's the same. It's
No, I don't think it's the same too. And I think it breeds different types of people. I feel like they lose out on their social skills. Like I look at, our kids, they're social, but not really social.
Yeah.
Like we used to have like 50 friends.
Yep. Not the same.
And now people are like 3, 4 friends or 1 or 2 friends. It's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like friends are, I guess, if they like the same genre of stuff, you don't have like that collection of friends who like this with different interests. You know, we don't like the same thing, but we like Dungeons and Dragons. So that group I hang out with, or we like this band, so we hang out with them. Now it's, it's kind of have 1 or 2 things we like and 3 or 4 friends, and that's it. Yeah. And then we just hunker down with them, which is kind of sad. I agree.
It is sad. All right. I love this guy too. Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven.
There's MTV. There we go. We were talking about MTV. I watched that Unplugged and was hooked. I had no clue who Eric Clapton was. Not a clue. And watched it. And my love of jazz was coming. So my love of blues was coming. And then I saw that Unplugged. I'm like, this guy won. I'm like, I never really listened to guitar and appreciated how well it was played. He's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. After listening to that Unplugged, I went into that catalog. And Clapton, which everybody says Clapton is God. And obviously the story behind that song is sad. I'm a parent, so I can't imagine just losing my child. His son, falls out the window when he dies. It's a beautiful song, and it's live, which is something I appreciate. I love musicianship. So like the fact that he could play it. Obviously, he goes in the studio when there's a studio version, but that song, and he's sitting there on the stage and he's playing, and it's wonderful. I played that song to death all the time, over and over again, over and over. I love that song very much and really fell deep into Eric Clapton. I listened to everything that he did. And obviously the next song fits that too, because he's in the next one. But he really, for a while, was like my favorite artist. I listened to everything he did before, everything he did after, the blues stuff. I've seen him in concert. I saw him and B.B. King together.
No way. That would have been amazing.
Insane. The best concert I have ever been to.
That would be amazing.
2 gods on guitar. And I got to sit there and appreciate it. Like BB solo for 10 minutes and you're like, God, go ahead, man. Amazing. Don't even get up. Just sit there and play. And Eric is like, all right, I'm going to catch. And he's going. It's good music is beautiful. And that's music I could sit there and I could listen to. Like, late at night, I don't know if I can fall asleep. So I'm going to put that on. I'm going to listen to Cocaine. I'm going to listen to all great stuff. Phenomenal stuff. So Eric has a special place in my heart because I found him and then I dove in to all his stuff.
Did your parents listen to a lot of music when you were growing up?
No, not at all. Not a lot. My dad did. This is interesting. So I grew up in the 80s in New York, and Light FM was a station that just played like, what's so interesting is what they play now, like light rock, like that yacht rock type of stuff. They would just play that calm stuff. My dad loved Frank Sinatra. I don't think it was this radio station. There was one radio station that like Saturday nights at 10 would just play Sinatra all the way through.
Oh, wow.
So he loved Sinatra to the point where he had like, it's not 8-track, it's the music on the rolls or whatever. And he had bought it. Yeah, he had the whole collection of Sinatra and he loved it. That's the only thing we connect his love of Sinatra and his love of Woody Allen, because he loved Woody Allen as a director. So we would go see these movies. But he wasn't a big music person. I was, because my household was kind of shady. So I was in my room and I needed something to listen to. And so I dove into music. But yeah, he loves Sinatra. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but of him. But nah, we both like music. We'll say that.
For growing up in New York, is it like how everybody would say, like, you have to be tough?
Oh yeah, to be tough. Oh, definitely. I mean, see, when you're talking to a Black guy, there's a different vibe that you're going to get for New York. Because I was lucky enough to grow up in a pretty nice neighborhood. So I didn't have a lot of people who look like me. So in general, it's just kind of our nature. New Yorkers, we're hard.
Yeah.
Don't talk to us a simple, a specific kind of way. But my experience is going to be a little bit different because all those New Yorkers who were talking one way, they talk to me a different way because of this. But I'm proud to be a New Yorker in terms of the sports that we love. We have the best pizza on earth. We have the best bagels. We have all of it. And we're New York. We're the best city. Plenty of movies are based in our town. Philadelphia is afraid of us, all that stuff. So yes, as a New Yorker, we are egocentric about our city.
But I look at not just that, I also look at, because I read lots of biographies of artists and stuff like that. And like, that was a place to go. Like, I even look at this book of Madonna that I'm reading, she's constantly going back to New York. She got, found in New York, and all of these people around her were all New York. They're talking about like all these different artists. They're doing anyways, all this kind of stuff. And then I look at fashion.
Oh, yes.
Look at, that's a place to go, right?
Yeah.
You want to go there for Fashion Week. You want to be a part of that. So I think it just has so much culture.
Yes.
And
we're the greatest city in the world.
Yeah.
We are the center of a lot of music. Hip hop is created in the Bronx, New York. A lot of stuff, a lot of things that are created are here. A lot of people came into this country. They came into New York. Well, that's New Jersey, but they came in and then they went into New York. All this amalgamation of all these different cultures, all these different races, all these people, and it creates all these different things. You're completely right.
I just don't feel like we got that in Canada.
You
know what I mean? Like, it's crazy if I really kind of start to go down the rabbit hole of all the artists and all the music I know and all of that kind of stuff that we just talked about. Where did I learn that shit? Because like, Canada is not like, there's no hub, it's not like, oh, hey, yes, okay, Toronto, but not really. Like, not really.
That's
not
true.
like New York.
Right. Yeah, to be fair, there's very few cities like New York. Yeah. I mean, you guys, hockey is like, when I think of Canada, honestly, that's what I think of. And I don't know if that's right or not, that you guys created this great sport and then we love it here too. But I don't know. Is there any genre of music that you guys kind of pioneered or anything?
I don't think so.
I guess. All right, then there's still time. You guys come up with something new.
I'm gonna redo 80s music.
Exactly.
There we go. I love it. All right, another Clapton song. It's crazy. And BB King.
This was around the time that this album came out. And obviously Clapton is a big blues guy and he loved BB King. They were friends and they did Riding with the King. I think that's like the single from the same titled album. And it's just two legends playing together. And the album is good, but it looks like they're having so much fun. They're just playing music and you can hear it even when they're singing. Like BB's having the time of his life and we're getting towards the end of his life too. Two of my favorite artists. And again, I love musicianship, so I appreciated hearing them playing and saw that concert and was just in awe. I spent way too much money on them tickets, I'll tell you that much. But it was worth it. It was the best show I've ever seen. Two great artists, blues, just kind of pop-ish type of stuff, but it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And then I did the same thing. Even before, I guess, when they did this together, I dove into the BB King stuff, and I love the blues. Robert Johnson and all these great artists and such. BB was amazing, and then add Eric to it. It's just easy. I mean, I have to listen to that album. These kids are going to hate me for the next few days. I'm playing stuff they don't even want to hear. They're going to hear this. They're going to go, oh my God, who is this? It's not Britney. It is not Ariana Grande. It is not Taylor Swift. No,
that's
this
right.
is
No Swiftie.
No, this is good music here. So
it's true. But when you say that, the first thing that kind of comes to my mind is these two people probably appreciated each other.
Oh, so much.
and then got a chance to play together, which they probably never even thought that that would even really happen. And then they go and play together and they both admire each other. That is special for them, but as fans, that's especially special to watch, because you get to play with it's like playing with somebody that you admire so much. You just appreciate it so much. That would have been like an incredible show. Phenomenal to see, just that kind of connection. And then obviously feeding off of each other. Oh, really? You can do that? Okay, well, I'm going to do this. Okay. You're upping each other. You're making each other better.
Yeah, and it's all in love. It's all like they're playing and like, oh, I can do this. I got this solo in me. Then I got this solo in me.
Yeah.
And obviously Clapton grew up loving BB, and BB appreciated the talent that was there.
Yeah.
So you get two people who love music, who know that guy's awesome. I'm going to play with him. And I think Clapton was more in awe of BB because it's like, that's BB fucking King over there. And I'm playing with like, what the hell? Like, just appreciate it. But it's interesting because if you think of rock and a lot of these guitarists, a lot of them look at Clapton the way Clapton probably looked at King. So you're sitting there like, oh my God, I'm sitting on stage with Eric Clapton, but Clapton that's BB over there.
I know, that's really cool.
It's cool. It's cool to see. And it's the respect that they have with each other, and it's wonderful. So wonderful.
I love it. All right. Next song.
29 pearls in your kiss, a singing smile.
Everybody here wants you.
Jeff Buckley. Because I'm an 80s kid, I'm a lover of like blue-eyed soul. So it's Hall & Oates, it's Phil Collins, it's George Michael. And Jeff, I don't even remember where I heard this song. Somebody must have given me this album. And I'm like, wow, this particular song is so fucking smooth. Like I listened to this song and I could say badly, in the days where you used to make a mix CD for some girl you were interested in. And this was on every damn song I ever made. Like, hey girl. And I love this song, and I listened to the album, and the album is great. It's rocky, had a really smooth, soulful voice, and we lost him early. He died a lot earlier than he should have. But this is a great, great song. It's just, I don't know how much it led me to a lot of other artists that kind of fit him. And that's, by the time I got to him, I loved a lot of these other artists and such, but this kind of coalesced and put everything together. It's just a great love song. I like a good love song, right? And it fit. It's easy, and I try to introduce people to Jeff Buckley based on Start Here. This is not typical of him, but this is a great start. I think you will really enjoy him. So I love that song.
I want all of the mixtapes I ever got or ever made back. Could you imagine? Like, wow. That would be such a crazy time to just kind of put them in the tape recorder and be like, oh, interesting.
I used to love this. I used to like this song. Or I've heard this song before. Maybe I forgot. Somebody made this for me. And maybe somebody made a mixtape for me that really changed my trajectory of my love of music. And like I heard maybe one song off of that CD, and I'm like, who is this? And led me to just a whole lot of different music that I didn't know I would have loved until somebody introduced me to something. That's great about a really good mix CD. So I'll agree. That'll be so much fun. Give him back. Give him back. I'll take him.
I actually had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and I love listening to people's playlists because it helps me just kind of get into their head a little bit. Mm-hmm. And he had Stacey Q, Two of Hearts. I probably have not heard that song. And like I died. My husband was like, what the hell? And then the kids came over and I was like, oh, we're listening to this song. Like I used to love this song. And they were like, this is really painful, Mom. Like this is really painful. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like I listen to this song all the time. But how much I forgot about that song. And then just hearing that song brought me back to like Samantha Fox and like all of this stuff that I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard this stuff forever.
Oh, wow, Steve. Oh my God. Two of Hearts. Oh, like I think we're alone now.
Yeah.
All these great. Oh my God. Did she do anything? Isn't she just a one-hit wonder? That was it. She dropped that single and is nowhere to be found. And
you should
damn
see
it,
the
if that
video.
was.
You have to watch the video.
Oh my God, I love her.
She looks like she's 14 years old. Like she could be though. I don't know. She could be, but
I like that. That was fun too. The 80s, I mean, aside, she was young, but that's Belinda Carlisle,
yeah,
the Go-Go's and all these girls. Oh my God, these kids are truly gonna be this today. What? Whoa.
You're like, you're not allowed to talk to Annette from Music Junkies anymore. She is bringing up some stuff that I want to listen to, Dad. Okay.
Memories. Oh my God, that's great. I forgot about that song.
That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, oh my God, I have to listen to this song 30 times now for the next couple of days.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I got that Amazon thing in the kitchen, so I can just blast it there while I figure out what I'm going to feed them. Yes, that's right. I don't know what we're eating, but I know what we're listening to. Yes, we're listening to this. Oh, Samantha Fox too.
I know. I actually am talking to her publicist right now just to try to get her on the show. Because I had Rob Bouland on the show. Do you know who that is? He wrote Rock Me Amadeus.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And so he remembers he wrote some songs for Samantha Fox. So I'm like, oh my God. When I was in grade 7, I did a lip sync to the whole entire school to the song Touch Me.
You could do that back then. You couldn't do that now.
Oh my God, you'd be in so much trouble. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get Samantha Fox on this show just for I can like tell her, right? Now she'd be like, oh my God, you could never do that now. But yeah.
Wow. Oh yeah, she was great. Oh, good luck with that. She did stuff with Full Force too. I think they started writing stuff for her. She was super sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, boy. I remember her. Oh yeah. Oh, she was.
Yeah.
I really hope I'm begging you to get that. I'm listening as soon as that comes out. Good luck. Keep talking to that publicist. Oh, that's awesome.
I love it. All right, next song. You will know.
Black Men United, not a real group, but for one song, I think it's on the Jason's Lyric soundtrack. They all got together and did this song, and it is an affirmation for Black men. Life is tough. You will struggle. It's a beautiful song. A lot of my favorite artists are on that song. It's reminiscent in the 80s. That I think this is the 90s though. Remember when everybody would get together, We Are the World, or This Is Christmas, and all these great, everybody get together and let's just do a song. And it's amazing. And it's all the great artists of that time. It's one of my favorite songs. It's if I'm low or something, I'm struggling, I'm trying to get something going. It's very, very affirmational. It's very positive that it understands the struggle. And it's really, really a good song. And Jason's Lyric's a really good movie too. It fits. But it's a lot of those young black male artists singing about positivity. So that's why I love that song.
Do you enjoy do you like NWA? Like, did you grow up with MW? Like, did you like?
Oh yeah, I grew up with it, but I didn't really connect with gangster rap. I'm a New Yorker, so Biggie's one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
So Big Daddy Kane and eventually Jay-Z and Nas and stuff. So that music was there. I saw it, but I don't think I love my music aggressive. I guess I'm a lover, not a fighter when it comes to my music. So what they were talking about and it's because of my experience. I didn't have that experience. I grew up in this, middle class. So when NWA, they were talking about that experience of the fuck the police and, police brutality and drugs and all this stuff that was happening. So I could appreciate the music, but it didn't connect with me because at that time I wasn't going through it. I understand now what they were talking about.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just the artists around me. While I lived in Long Island, Biggie's Brooklyn, Jay-Z's Brooklyn, Big Daddy Kane is around, Heavy D, all these artists are around. So I liked them, but it wasn't like the stuff I listened to, not yet. At least
I asked that question because in Canada, obviously, it was hard to get albums like that. Like we would get them like bootlegs. So like Ice-T, Cop Killer, like stuff like that. Like we craved that stuff. We fell in love with that stuff because we couldn't get that stuff.
Right.
So it was almost like we did anything that we could to get it. And then we listened to it. And then it was like cool to listen to. Right. So obviously being in New York and just the US compared to Canada, right? It's like you guys get access to a lot more stuff than we have to wait 20 years later to.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm not saying it's that bad, but you know what I mean? You got
no, I know what you mean.
Way better chips than we do. You know, let's be honest. 75 different kinds of Oreos.
Yeah,
like, we get the same one. So I'm just always curious if, lots of people listen to that because it was just like, whatever. Here we were like, what? That's an X-rated,
Yeah, that started a whole thing.
We can't do this.
It reminds me of, back then before you could just get music digitally, like Tuesday was the release date for music. So that Tuesday morning, if there's that artist you've been waiting for and that cassette or that CD eventually came out, you got to be early, or you had to, where you live, you have to find your record store or your store to pick up that cassette or that music to listen to. And it was just, that used to be a big deal. That before, eventually we had Sam Goody and all these places where you could get music, but it was your mom and pop spot that had the cassettes, that had the CDs and, all that stuff, great music. Like I bought my cassettes and the first thing I do, open a plastic, I didn't play it. I took that.
Yeah.
I loved looking through the liner notes. Yeah. I wanted to see the lyrics. I wanted to see all that stuff. It's obviously changed. It is a lot different now, but a lot of those memories.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I love lyrics. I love seeing who wrote it. I love the sample, that of course that comes back. But I like to see where that stuff came from. And it's so different. Now the album is just out. I press a button. I'm not even really paying for it. I just pay a monthly fee for some service that plays it. Yeah, it's different.
It is very different. And of course, learning the lyrics right.
Yep.
Nowadays, I don't know if you really have to learn the lyrics. Like there's not a lot of there's not like it's not the same as how it was where you were really learning the lyrics and now it's like whatever and you're just
it comes up on your screen. If you listen to it using whatever, you can just put the lyrics up and you're like, oh, and I do that with songs that I thought I knew and I'm like, that's what they're saying. What? I was off, terribly off. The song now, it doesn't mean the same like it used to.
What song would you say that you thought it went this way and it was another way?
Oh, wait a minute. What's the name of it? There was one. Oh, God.
What about like Tom Petty, Free Falling? Did you say anything different? Just to be comical, like instead of free falling, did you
free balling, but that was like a frat thing. I'm sure I said that at some point. Baby Got Back was one that I thought I knew. I don't remember what I thought, but then some lyric came up and changed something for me. Not Michael. I always had that down. Phil Collins, Susu Studio. I thought I knew what that was. Some stuff changed. It's not an 80s one, but what the song is, the hook. Who is the band? I forgot the name of the band. Big guy who played the harmonica. And that's terrible. They might even be Canadian for all I know. The hook brings you back. Oh my God. I had absolutely no idea what the hell that song was about. I used to just say the hook will bring you back. And I would just hum the rest of it and didn't realize that the song was basically saying that the only reason you like this song is because of the hook. I can say whatever hell else I want throughout the song, but the hook brings you back. I'm upset that I don't remember the name of the band, but
you will.
Yes, it's as soon as we're done, it'll
That's
come
great.
to me.
So we're going to be on your last song, but before I go there, I want you just to kind of share a little bit about, you know, both of your podcasts with your wife, and then obviously the one that you're doing solo. How did they get started? Where can we find them?
So the first podcast, Love is Black, during COVID, when we couldn't leave the house, we had always said we should do a podcast. Then we're like, well, we're home, can't go anywhere. Let's do the podcast. So we started doing the podcast. We have divergent opinions on a lot of things, politics, religion, whatever stuff. So let's just turn on a live mic and talk. We are 5 seasons into that podcast now. First season was just our relationship, how we got together. And the reason we did it, 1, we loved our conversations, but 2, neither one of us liked the way Black love is perceived in movies, in song, in TV shows. And we wanted to show love in a positive light. Black love is no different than any other, but it's always something ridiculous involved. And Black love is good. So that's what we did. That first season was just us. Second season, we brought couples in. It's a whole season of couples telling us about how they met, about their struggles, their ups and downs and all that. And it's just good love. And then we kept going over season 3, just more love, and then couples. We are in season 5 right now. We are writing a love story together. Aww. We have 2 characters. She's writing the woman, I'm writing the guy. Every week, a different chapter. She writes one, then I write one, and then she writes one, and that's what we're doing. So as we record, we're like 15 chapters in. It's going to be a long book. And it's just a good Black love story. While doing that, I'm like, I like this podcasting thing. I want to do my own. I started Men Are the Prize, a podcast for men, because men aren't made to be open and expressive of emotions. I wanted to create a space for men to be able to talk about anything. Let's just talk. Because I would see men, we commit suicide at a much higher rate. We have depression, we struggle, we are the killers, we are all these negative things that are talked about men. Just a space, just talk about whatever. And it leads to a lot better dealing with situations, dealing with life. I am about to, season 3 starts January 1st. So I'm getting to that season, and we're talking about fatherhood. We're talking about vulnerability. We're talking about everything. And the really most important thing is talking. I almost don't care what you're telling me. I'm just happy you're talking. And that's what I created it for. So Men Are the Prize, which is my baby. And I love talking to men. So it's a wonderful thing. If you want to listen to Love is Black, you can go to loveisblackpodcast.com. That's my website for me and my wife, Carice. If you want to listen or watch Men Are the Prize, you can go to my website. That is harveylaguerre.com. So HarveyLaguerre.com. And you can watch the first 2 seasons. Season 3 is coming out soon. Social media, just Men Are the Prize, you'll find me. That's pretty much me for everything. But that's the podcasting with the wife, which is just great. But the podcasting I talk with men, that's a special place in my heart. I'm here to help men be more positive, to be more open, emotional, vulnerable. And no matter how I get people to do it, just talk and we have fun. So thank you so much for allowing me to tell you about that.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll make sure that we put all of your websites and your social media, link it to the podcast as well.
Thank you.
And then anytime you have stuff new, we'll put it out. I love it. So
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, we're on your last song. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Interesting ending song for you. I can't.
It is. It almost fits. It almost seems like it kind of fits, doesn't it? Like our relationship has come to an end.
I know. I'm sad now.
I know. Bonnie Raitt is so incredibly underrated, underappreciated. And we were talking about opening up that cassette and looking at the lyrics. Is there a more heartbreaking song?
I don't think so.
Than this? Oh, I love her voice. Obviously, she's blues. Her dad was blues, and it's so good. It's such a great song. I love this song, and George Michael covered it. I love his version too. I don't know what happened if I was going through some shit. I don't know if something happened, and maybe that's why the song stuck. But it's a beautiful song. It really is. It's emotional. I love a good love song. This is the End of Love song. but it's powerful, and she really can sing, and you can feel it with every note. I think I actually like George Michael's version a little bit better, but I tend to be more loving the originator. But I love Bonnie Raitt. I love Bonnie Raitt, and I love this song, and several people have covered it, but it's just, I like the original, and I like George Michael doing it. It's like, it's on, I don't cry about stuff, but if I did, George Michael's version, like, it feels like the relationship is ending right now. Like, he's just making that final.
Did you just break up with me like right now?
I know, like, it's over right now, and I had like 8 minutes, and I wrote a song about it. Like, it's it's rough, but
like, you didn't even give me a chance.
I know, not a chance. Oh, turn out the lights. Like, just go. Like, woof, woof. It's a beautiful song, though. Great.
Thank you so much, Harvey, for joining us today on Music Junkies. I had so much fun with you. Right. I don't get to talk about the 80s very much.
Oh.
And I love my friends know I love the 80s too. So it's always nice to find somebody that loves the 80s and can appreciate the 80s. I loved how you're open and honest and raw about your stories. And I just appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And, when it's time to talk about the 80s again, you know where to find me. We can do this again. So I appreciate you giving me some time. Thank you so much for having me. This was
You're
great.
very, very welcome.